So in the mission field in Romania, there are no stakes yet. Everything is still a branch. Um, a little bit about the history of it. It got dedicated in 1993, which is cool. It's the year I was born. And Elder Nelson in the Corner 12 is the one that dedicated it. And there's a lot of speculation as to like church history before it. It's really closely tied with some of the Hungarian church history because they're next door neighbors, and Hungary used to extend like half of Romania. But it started off pretty well. It kicked off, from Bucharest and kind of expanded outward. As far as like the intermittent history, I don't know much about, but Romania was actually pretty close, I think, to having a stake in like 2007 or so. But what happened is Romania is a post-communist country, and as far as Europe goes, they're not very, financially prosperous compared to like France or Italy or other places. And so I forget the year that they joined the European Union, but when they joined the European Union, there were 6 branches or so of like 40 people in Bucharest, and so like pretty much enough to establish a small stake. And they joined the EU, and the membership just dropped, and they all left. And so there's kind of a reset button hit on Romania. It was really interesting. You can look at a lot of the first few transfers of my mission, I did a lot of less active work trying to find people, and so many of them are they've moved, they're gone, just took off to other countries for better opportunities. And so right now in Bucharest, the main city, there's 2 branches. There's one in Mihai Bravu, which is Michael the Brave, and then Pandur, which is like, it means guards or something. It's a form of guard, but one's on the east side and the other's on the west. And there's chapels in both those areas. The attendance varies anywhere from 30 to 60 people a week. And the Pandur branch has a lot more like internationals, more English speakers. There's I believe there's a few people from Asia and other countries as well. So as far as the rest of the country, the branches are typically pretty small, 20 to 30 members. For about 6 months of my mission, I served in a town called Baco. I didn't know it at the time, but I guess it was known as the armpit of the mission. And I got sent there after training, and I was told I had to be branch president. And I was just barely 20 years old, and if you've ever been told something like that, you're just like, I have no idea how to do this. My companion had been in that area for a while and was pretty anxious to get out because he had spent the winter, and at the time there were only like 6 active members that came, or 6 members a week that came. They kind of alternated on who came. And so it was a tough area. That's that, and there's a couple other cities that like really struggle and have really low attendance. But mostly due to that thing I mentioned, a lot of people left the European Union, or people move a lot, and so we don't have church presence or missionaries in a lot of areas. And so I think there's only like 16 areas or somewhere around that. And so if you consider that, we don't have a huge presence in Romania right now. There's about, I think there's somewhere around 3,000 members on lists, but active each week, I think in the whole country there's 600 to 800 at the most, at least when I was there. So there's that. As far as the languages go, almost all of Romania speaks entirely Romanian, everything. If you get more towards the east or in the Transylvania area, Transylvania is like around the mountains. Everybody thinks Dracula and stuff, but there's 2 cities. There's Brașov and Sibiu, and anything kind of northeast of that, you're going to have a very high population of Hungarian speakers. I served in an area called Oradea, and the branch there is phenomenal. Half the members are returned missionaries, which is kind of a good and bad thing, because if you're trying to do missionary work, you're getting told how to do it from like 8 different perspectives and mission types, and just anyway, it was interesting. But so when I was in that city, I started studying a little bit of Hungarian, because I'd been in the country for a while. Because in that city, you go and there's like half Hungarian, half Romanian, and it's kind of hush hush, but there's well over 50% like native Hungarian speakers. Everybody there speaks Romanian, but there's a huge amount of Hungarian speaking. If you head more towards the east part of the country and get closer to Moldova, you'll run into a Russian speaker here and there, but it's still mostly Romanian. But Moldova itself is like split down the middle, not geographically, but you have a lot of Russian speakers and a lot of Romanian speakers. A lot of people speak both, but each person kind of has their preference, and so there's both kinds of missionaries up there. And it's definitely interesting. I had a companion from Moldova. He was one of the hardest working guys in the mission. Just it was funny. He really got motivated to like do self-improvement and things like that. So he was a great role model. He's actually the guy that trained me to be branch president. So that was fun.
The Romania-Moldova mission is 2 countries, Romania and Moldova, with the mission headquarters in Bucharest. There are 2 languages spoken there. There used to be 3. There used to have Hungarian as well, but they switched it all to strictly Romanian and Russian, to my knowledge, at least anyways. And if you're called Russian speaking, you're only in Moldova, where you serve there in one of like 3 cities. So that's kind of a small mission form, because Moldova is a tiny country in and of itself. But Romanian missionaries can go either in Romania or Moldova, because in Moldova they speak both Romanian and Russian. Like, I think it was about beginning of 1900s, like there was a couple of missionaries that went there and preached the gospel and had some converts. And then what happened was communism came and invaded Romania, and all the church was kicked out of Romania. And that was a hard time for everyone, because, I mean, religion wasn't allowed, but somehow Romanian Orthodoxy survived through it. But once communism fell, I think it was like sometime within the first year or 2, missionaries were sent immediately in there and started working. It was a fusion of another mission that was right next to it. I think it was Bulgaria, but I'm not certain about that. And so some of their missionaries went up there to teach, and they had some success, a lot of success actually, and it started growing. At the current moment, I believe there are 3 districts with 4 chapels. Yeah, 4 chapels in all of Romania and Moldova, with different rented out building houses as well. I'm not sure how strong what the church membership numbers are, but there are, generally at sacrament meeting, there can be anywhere from 5 to about, well, the largest that I ever saw was about 100 people in a church meeting, and that was an amazing experience to have. And so it's definitely not the strongest there, but the members there, you will find, are some of the strongest, because they've been through everything. They've been through communism, they've been through the persecution of being a new member in a new country. Because quite frankly, like, Romania is it's a very hard place for religions to thrive. And so it's great to see how the members have made it through. And their faith. Like, sometimes you'll see them pay, like, I was a part of a bishopric at one point, and you'd see tithing and fast offerings and then a Book of Mormon fund, and fairly similar numbers straight through. Like, whatever they paid for tithing, they'd pay similarly to the mission fund or to Book of Mormons. And so they don't have a lot, that's for sure. It's a fairly poor country, but they have a lot of faith in what they do. And I think the way that the work has been going forward has been through the members. The missionaries going out and finding is great, but it's through the members bringing their friends and also being a part of the missionary experience with the missionaries, whether it be on the street, contacts, or whatever. The members, a part of it, really strengthen it because you can see their faith. And when they're a part of those lessons, it strengthens them too. Served when I was called to places. I always served in Romania, but I got to visit Moldova for, I think it was 2 days. But there are a couple of cities. I generally served in bigger cities like Ploiești, and then I went to Craiova, back to Ploiești, and then, well, saying these names might not be important, but Deva, Cluj, Bucharest, Iași, and then back to Craiova. And I traveled around a lot on the mission. I don't know if that was... I feel like it probably wasn't as common, at least back then, for me to move around as much. I was probably an oddball. But I got to see a lot of the mission. And I spent about half my mission in the section called Transylvania, which most people have heard of. Beautiful mountainous region. Very, very great people. And it's just so great to serve in there. And that's where a lot of Hungarians are as well. Because there's a big dispute between Romania and Hungary about that area. And so I got to teach some Hungarians. And sometimes communication was a bit different because their native tongue was Hungarian and I knew Romanian. So a lot of times the language barrier was difficult in that regard because we were both translating to another language. But I did serve in a lot of... I'd served all over the country, and I felt like I got a pretty good view of the country and the beauty of it, actually. The mountainous areas are so great. And then there's some... well, Craiova is kind of flat area, but you can see throughout everything and look at the sky. Great thunder and lightning storms there. Really enjoyed it.